House resumes and debate continues. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, after the comprehensive presentation that was put forward before lunch by the Honorable Minister for Ports and Public Works, Madam Speaker, I'm not sure that there is much more that we can say to make the case for the government about the real importance of this budget to the future of Dominica. But however, we on this side of this House have to continue to send out the message that Dominica is on a path to growth and prosperity, and that this government has done everything in its power to ensure that Dominica progresses. And I want to say to the Honorable Minister, you know, the member for Roseau North must look out, because I know that the people of Roseau North are looking at you, and I am looking forward to supporting you in the campaign whenever it comes out. Whether you make up your mind or not, make up your mind, Madam Minister. It is time. Roseau North is looking forward. But, Madam Speaker, it is for me a distinct privilege to stand in this honorable House at this time in our history to endorse the largest national budget presented in Dominica since our attainment of political independence close to 40 years ago. Madam Speaker, the 2017-2018 national budget, as presented by the Right Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit on Thursday of last week, has been described as many things, both good and bad, according to who you speak to. But for me, personally, it represents a formidable and exciting juncture along our journey towards achieving economic independence, Madam Speaker. And in reviewing the budget presentation, I encountered many indications of real gains and real growth in the economy, which have been nurtured by the prudent management of this administration. And not only are these indicators found in mere words that were presented, but, Madam Speaker, there is real transformational change now occurring on the ground throughout this country, Madam Speaker, and you can see with your very eyes what is going on to change the landscape around Dominica, Madam Speaker. Case in point, there's the hotels that are being constructed in the north and in the south of the country throughout the island. These hotels cannot be underestimated as to their value to the development of this country when they are completed, Madam Speaker. Because they will provide jobs, they will provide opportunities for many Dominicans, and they will open up Dominica to the world, because these are, you know, really wonderful facilities, brand hotels that are coming to Dominica, something that we've never really seen in the past, Madam Speaker, and we have to credit this government for negotiating these hotels and bringing them to Dominica, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in agriculture, a passion of mine, you know, in agriculture, the new pack houses, Madam Speaker, the new pack houses creating an opportunity for our farmers to have full access to markets that they never had before, and really opportunities to come forward and to make money. The pack houses organize agriculture and helps to really respond to the markets that farmers have been crying for so many years, Madam Speaker. The abattoir in itself, our livestock industry had been, you know, underdeveloped for many years. And today, not only does the abattoir provide an opportunity for our livestock farmers to sell their meat, but it provides an opportunity for Dominicans to consume better quality meats, Madam Speaker. and we have to credit this government for that. The introduction of resilient banana plantlets and more investments in fishing, all of these opportunities outlined in the budget and outlined in previous budgets, Madam Speaker, these are yielding profits for ordinary Dominicans, and this government must take the credit for that, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, new programs in housing development. We heard of the initiative which will be led by the Dominica Social Security to provide housing, particularly targeting the middle class, the working class in this country, who sometimes complain that nothing is done for them. Here is an opportunity that the middle class can now, look forward to new opportunities for housing, Madam Speaker. We have the construction of main roads, feeder roads, village roads, all kinds of roads, Madam Speaker, opening up the country to new communication, Madam Speaker. We have also, Madam Speaker, our Center for Excellence, which, in my opinion, will provide proper training to qualify the skills of ordinary Dominicans, making them more competitive beyond our shores, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, if we are to maintain our stance on the cutting edge of development, it is necessary, I believe, that skilled Dominicans are given the opportunity to acquire educational qualifications and certification beyond just primary and secondary levels, Madam Speaker. Very important, because many of them did not even access secondary education, or even primary in some cases. But the wonderful skills that we find among ordinary Dominicans, be it in joinery, in fishing, in farming, whatever it is, Madam Speaker, we need now to take them to the next level and to qualify and to certify their skills so that those skills can be exported beyond our shores if necessary, but also that they could be used to ensure that we all help to build our Dominican economy. We see new opportunities, Madam Speaker, for young entrepreneurs in this budget. And I am personally excited about this particular intervention, Madam Speaker, because I remember just 2 years ago, and the Prime Minister is right here, just before the 2015 and 2016 national budget, Madam Speaker, I had the opportunity to discuss with him very briefly, a similar initiative where there were some young innovators and young entrepreneurs who were interested in having the government to support some of their businesses, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, that very same year, Tropical Storm Erica came, and my discussions with the Prime Minister sort of did not really meet its fulfillment, because he had already given some consideration to supporting these small businesses. And some of the young entrepreneurs, granted, were a bit disappointed when it didn't happen at that time. But the Prime Minister did not forget, because he is a friend of youth and a friend of business development in this country, Madam Speaker. He didn't forget. And yes, 2 years down the line, after we had taken care of some of the, destruction that Tropical Storm Erica brought, the Prime Minister has returned to this budget with a wonderful initiative that our young entrepreneurs and innovators can now benefit from, Madam Speaker. $4 million set aside, besides whatever has been set aside for the Small Business Development Unit. $4 million set aside that young entrepreneurs, young innovators, those who can help to build the Dominican economy, they can now access those funds to ensure that they can make their contribution towards the development of our country. So, Madam Speaker, a promise made by the Prime Minister and a promise kept, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and I'm really hoping that the young entrepreneurs really take advantage of this. Entrepreneurs like my friend Felix Julian of Goodwill, who is an electronic engineer and who owns his own small business called Global Engineering and Energy Limited. He helped to pioneer the AMI program that DOMLEC uses. He helped to pioneer that. And then he moved on to establish his own company offering services in renewable energy. Listen, Madam Speaker, renewable energy. We're talking about renewable energy for the longest while. We have young people who understand that sector and who are ready to contribute towards the development of our country, Madam Speaker. Young entrepreneurs, Madam Speaker, like Felix Julian. And we recently used him at the Grand Bay, his services, at the Grand Bay Credit Union to replace all our lights to LED lights, and we are already satisfied with the service that he provided, Madam Speaker. Our young entrepreneurs like Orlando George from the Roseau Valley, who owns his own company called Epic Yard, Madam Speaker. You may know him, you know. He offers landscaping and site development services. And I saw some of the pictures of some of the work that he does. Epic work, really. Wonderful work. And I hope that we can empower these young people who are taking initiative, who need the support of the government, Madam Speaker. Or even young people like those at Colport in Grand Bay, Madam Speaker, who have persevered for so many years, really and truly offering products like exotic soaps and oils, Madam Speaker. And now they require new funding to pursue new ventures, Madam Speaker. We need to support these young people, these young entrepreneurs who have already invested their time, their energies, their skills in ensuring that they make a salient contribution towards the development of our country, Madam Speaker. Or even a young man whom I had the opportunity to speak to just on Sunday in Grand Bay, who wants to offer car wash services in Grand Bay. He worked at Auto Trade for some time, developed the skills. We have the facility in Grand Bay called Asa Car Wash, Madam Speaker. He wants to come in there with the equipment and to employ at least 4 more young people. He is one who is well positioned to take advantage of that program, Madam Speaker. So when they say to us that there is nothing being offered in the budget, Madam Speaker, I mean, what are they talking about? We just have to ensure that people are informed and they understand clearly what this budget offers, Madam Speaker. And I'm truly excited about the possibilities for Dominica, Madam Speaker, as outlined in the budget. Because, Madam Speaker, I foresee the development of a new cadre of young businessmen and women who will invigorate our private sector by taking advantage of technological opportunities to generate wealth, which will bolster the Dominican economy, Madam Speaker. There are those who believe that Dominica might be too small to take advantage of this thing, or too poor. But I dare say, Madam Speaker, we should not be timid or to be afraid of wealth creation in Dominica, Madam Speaker, because that is what will power our economy and ensure that future generations will have a solid Dominica to call home, Madam Speaker. There are those who would have wanted us to believe, Madam Speaker, that they have the answers, that they could prescribe economic medications to alleviate our economic woes. But I dare say they are not economic doctors, Madam Speaker, and we will not go to them. The Dominican people will stay with the Dominican Labour Party that has been prescribing for years, many years, solutions, real solutions to our problems. People-centered development, Madam Speaker, is what this government has offered Dominica for 17 years. And yes, Dominicans are happy with what the Dominican Labour Party offers, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, we have to understand, and I want the members of the opposition to understand that Dominica's best days are ahead of us. They're ahead of us. And I also want them to understand that Dominica has always experienced its best days when the Dominican Labour Party is in power, and history will attest to that, Madam Speaker. History will attest to that, Madam Speaker. Take, for example, I want to go back to history a little bit, because sometimes the young people out there do not really understand what it is, what the contribution of the Dominican Labour Party has been to this country, Madam Speaker. Take, for example, Madam Speaker, modern air access for Dominica. It was the Dominican Labour Party which constructed the then Melvin Hall Airport, now known as the Dr. Charles Airport, several decades ago, Madam Speaker. The airport at that time met Dominica's air access needs. But as time went by, it needed to be upgraded to meet new requirements and new demands. By then, Labour Party had gotten out of office, and other governments came to office and left and did nothing to improve the airport, Madam Speaker, nothing substantial. It took Labour to return to office, to modernize the airport, and to bring night landing to Dominica. And I am confident, Madam Speaker, that it will be the Dominica Labour Party that will eventually give Dominica its international airport. Labour has been good to Dominica, Madam Speaker, and it continues to be. Yes, it is true. I know that. You know that, my friend. You know that. In the area of healthcare, Madam Speaker, we can refer to the Princess Margaret Hospital that Labour built. It was Labour that built the Princess Margaret Hospital. Other governments came and other governments went. And when they left us with user fees. It took Labour to come and to bring real healthcare, real affordable healthcare to Dominica, Madam Speaker, where our citizens 60 years and over now can access free healthcare. Those 18 years and under can access free healthcare, Madam Speaker. And of course, you can see that Labour is transforming the Princess Margaret Hospital to offer modern healthcare, Madam Speaker. Labour has been good to Dominica, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are many highways and byways across this country that Labour built many years ago. There was this song, Chemin Wive Over. You remember, Honorable Session, you would remember that song. That road has arrived in the east of the country. Because for many years, Madam Speaker, Dominica struggled to construct roads. You know, especially our terrain did not lend very well to the construction of those roads. But not only the roads to the east, the roads to Grand Bay and environs, the roads along the west coast, all built by the Dominica Labour Party many years ago. Other governments came, Madam Speaker, and they did very little to improve those roads. It was Labour that came, Madam Speaker, again, and is now transforming many of these roads, and has already transformed these roads to highways. We never knew about highways in Dominica. We now have highways, lighted highways, Madam Speaker, that our people can drive on comfortably, and we can traverse this country in very little time, Madam Speaker. Labour has been good to Dominica, Madam Speaker. What was that? Come on, I don't disturb you. All right. Madam Speaker, there are many more examples, but time will not allow. But the Dominica Labour Party, the party as an institution, a 60-year-old institution, within that 60-year history, the Dominica Labour Party has distinguished itself as a formidable partner in Dominica's development thrust, Madam Speaker. It has, and no one can deny that. So when you come here and say that it took 17 years, I've been hearing that. Why did it take 17 years? Madam Speaker, you know, I will answer that in a while. The Dominica Labour Party, Madam Speaker, will never compromise our commitments and investments towards the well-being of all Dominicans. This year's budget outlines our determination to put words to action for the collective benefit of all our people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, government maintains its commitment and its vision for advancing the well-being of this country. And I am proud of the fact that we have come thus far, Madam Speaker. Because, Madam Speaker, it was the late, great South African president, a man whom I held special admiration for, Madam Speaker, the late, great Nelson Mandela, who once said, "Sometimes it falls on a generation to be great. You can be that great generation," he told South Africans. "Let your greatness blossom." Madam Speaker, I believe that we today are that great generation responding to Dominica's needs, Madam Speaker. We, the children of the 70s, Madam Speaker, and the Prime Minister is a part of that generation, Madam Speaker. We, the children of the 1970s, the children of the late 60s, the children of the early 80s, we, this generation, are that great generation making a positive difference in the development of our country, Madam Speaker. And I am proud to be part of that generation. I am merely 1 year older than the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker. So I am part of that generation. And we have certain, and you too, Honorable John, are part of that generation. And you should be proud to be playing your part in ensuring that Dominica advances, Madam Speaker. Play your part. Oh, absolutely, you know that. We were part of the National Youth Council together, all right? And we always spoke about that we could run this country, that we could make a difference in this country. And today I am proud that our generation is doing exactly that, Madam Speaker. We're doing that, you know, and I am certain, will bequeath to subsequent generations a strong Dominican economy where the possibilities are endless for anyone who wants to participate, Madam Speaker, and to ensure that they realize the Dominican dream. And so, Madam Speaker, this budget speaks loudly to the fact that prosperity is not just knocking at Dominica's door. It has come to stay, and it has brought with it opportunity with it for all Dominicans. It's not just about talking about prosperity. Because, Madam Speaker, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, that this is really and truly a transformational time for our country. This is the largest budget presented since political independence, the largest budget ever in this country. What were we presenting in the past, Madam Speaker? $200 and $300 million budgets. And when we presented a $400 million plus budget last year, I said it was an election budget. I'm not sure how I can describe this one. Almost a billion-dollar economy in the country, Madam Speaker. All I can say is that it is epic. It is legendary, Madam Speaker. You know, Madam Speaker, this debate, there are many members of the opposition who are suggesting that it is too long, that we took too long, Madam Speaker. They keep saying, why did it take 17 years? And Madam Speaker, I dare to say, Madam Speaker, that it is your fault, really. It is your fault, really. Something happened between 1995 and 2000 which caused Dominica's economy to crash. And I have always said, I have always believed, Madam Speaker, that had the Dominica Labour Party taken office from the Freedom Party, Madam Speaker, that Dominica's transformation would have been much sooner, Madam Speaker, much sooner. But something happened. I am not sure what it is. Something happened, Madam Speaker, between 1995 and 2000. And so it delayed our progress, Madam Speaker. So it is your fault. It is your fault. It is the fault of the United Workers' Party, whatever you did. Because, Madam Speaker, you remember the late, great former leader of the Dominica Labour Party. And I'm going back to history because really and truly, I am a student of history. And it was the late, great Rosie Douglas who went to the byways and highways of Dominica, you know, and told Dominicans about his plans for the development of the country. You remember that? Many public meetings, Rosie always said that, you know, there are many things that he called for diversification from, in the banana industry and the diversification of our economy. The Dominica Labour Party had, you know, was legendary in opposition, a very responsible opposition, Madam Speaker. We sent people to study and we, you know, assisted people while we were in opposition, Madam Speaker. And Rosie himself had the connections that were, he had many connections, Madam Speaker, that he spoke of. But, what was that? Of course. It is the same Labour Party. It is the same Labour Party. It is the same Labour Party that Rosie himself and Piero bequeathed to us. Yes, it is the same Labour Party, you know. And so, therefore, Madam Speaker, Rosie had plans for this country. But it so happened that the United Workers' Party came in 1995, and they were thrown out by the Dominican people in 2000. And then when Rosie got there, what he found...
You have 4 minutes left.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Honourable Senator be given an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation.
I second it, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
It has been moved and seconded that the honourable member be given a further 5 minutes to complete his contribution. Those in favour? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Continue,
Thank you,
please.
Madam Speaker, and thanks to my friend, the member for Salisbury. I've known him for a long time, Madam Speaker. We served in the National Youth Council together, and, you know, we had some wonderful days in really helping to make a difference in the lives of young people. Back in the days when the United Workers' Party was in office, I was happy to have served, and I'm happy to continue to be a youth advocate. But, Madam Speaker, if I were to continue very quickly, Madam Speaker, you remember, Madam Speaker, it was not easy to really bring Dominica to where we are today. Labour gave to Dominica 2 prime ministers. Prime Minister Rosie Douglas and Prime Minister Pierre Charles. And they both made the ultimate sacrifice, Madam Speaker. Lest we forget, the international economic environment at that time, Madam Speaker, was not favorable to small island developing states. We were losing our preferential treatment on the UK market for our bananas. We were blacklisted by the powerful FATF, Madam Speaker, and the IMF had to be brought in, Madam Speaker. It was not easy. So when you talk about 17 years, it took 17 years. Thank God it took 17 years to repair the damage, because, Madam Speaker, it is always easier to break down than to build, Madam Speaker. And it took Labour 17 years to build back this economy so that today we can all rejoice. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that Labour has brought to Dominica. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, Madam Speaker. And, Madam Speaker, you know, very quickly, I have sat here for the last 3 budget presentations, Madam Speaker. And the leader of the opposition, I wish he was here this afternoon. He has come to this house and he has recited the national anthem. At one budget response, he recited the entire national anthem, Madam Speaker. And this Friday past, he recited the 3rd stanza of the national anthem in an attempt to compete with the Prime Minister to fill in the blanks, Madam Speaker, to make up for time. But, Madam Speaker, when we invoke the words of our national anthem, we have to do so, and we have to allow it to call us to action, Madam Speaker. We have a powerful national anthem. If you listen to the words very closely, you cannot just use it to fill in the blanks, Madam Speaker. You know, you have to use the national anthem to call Dominicans to action. Because, Madam Speaker, there is one line that really jumps at me in the 3rd stanza of the national anthem. And when the leader of the opposition read it, I don't think it meant anything much to him when he read it. But it jumps to me because those who penned the national anthem many years ago, they saw a bigger and a better and a brighter Dominica. They had a desire for us as generations who were coming ahead to ensure that we were always reminded when we sang that song what they intended for this country, Madam Speaker. And that line is, Madam, and that line really, it really captures the spirit of this budget, Madam Speaker. That line which says to us, which beckons to each and every one of us, we must prosper. Sound the call. Sound it from every mountaintop, Madam Speaker. Sound it from every village. This budget has brought to the fore, and it has brought to fulfillment the fact that we as Dominica must prosper, and together we must. We must, Madam Speaker. You know, Madam Speaker, there's a lot more that we could say, but time does not allow, Madam Speaker. Time does not allow. But quickly, I want to thank the government for the wonderful work that is going on in the great Grand Bay constituency, Madam Speaker. The great constituency of Grand Bay, a constituency, Madam Speaker, that has given much to this country. As I said, we gave Piero to Dominica. He made the ultimate sacrifice. We gave the former president of Dominica, President Liverpool, formidable man, formidable citizen. We borrowed John Fabian from Benz and we gave him to Dominica, Madam Speaker. We have given Dominica Honorable Justina Charles, a woman who is really making a salient contribution in the area of constituency empowerment, Madam Speaker. Because when that portfolio was established, Madam Speaker, when that portfolio was established, I was wondering, constituency empowerment, what is this about? But today we see the transformation of our rural communities, and I am proud to say that my parliamentary representative is leading that effort. It will be your legacy, Madam Minister. And someday, Madam Speaker, I hope that Grand Bay sends me too. But I live in hope, Madam Speaker. But we in Grand Bay are grateful for the wonderful work that is going on in the community, really the building and the construction of our roads in places where we didn't have roads before, in Bala Park, in Bolom, in Geneva House, Madam Speaker. The residents are happy for that, Madam Speaker. Houses being built for single-parent families, Madam Speaker. We just signed contracts. These houses are ongoing in some areas, Madam Speaker. And there are 35 more to come, Madam Speaker, that families will have the dignity of being able to shelter themselves and to feel that they are part of the Dominica dream, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the eradication of pit latrines, Madam Speaker. Many people spoke to it. I myself have had my own experience with pit latrines, Madam Speaker. We grew up with that, and we know how the transformation into, better sanitation facilities really helps to raise the dignity of our families. So, Madam Speaker, we're happy for that. We're happy for the NEP, because we're now seeing more people being employed under the NEP, Madam Speaker. And I look forward to the improvement of the Grand Bay Road between Loubier to Bagatelle, Madam Speaker. A lot of investment in the south of the country, Madam Speaker. But we need more. I always ask for more. I always ask for more for Grand Bay, Madam Speaker. We need more NEP employees. We need more, Madam Speaker, investment in small business. Because, Madam Speaker, when you talk about small business, they go on base and Madam Speaker, I'm really hoping that we can really bring to this Parliament legislation that will make Creole, an official part of our proceedings here. Because I would have loved to have delivered my entire presentation in Creole, Madam Speaker. It would be more expressive, you understand me? I look forward to that day that the government can really do so. Madam Minister of Culture, maybe you should move that, bring that to the House. But Madam Speaker, very
easy it is to do.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, very quickly, I want to congratulate Mr. Alec Athanas Jr., who's part of the West Indies under-19 cricket team out there in South Africa. He became the man of the match. Grand Bay continues to give, Madam Speaker. The primary school in Grand Bay, which has really attained some wonderful results, Madam Speaker, in the Grade 6 National Assessment this year, Madam Speaker. I want to congratulate the students and their teachers and their parents, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we look forward to the PHR Secondary School doing very well at the CXC examinations. We await the results. We already want to commend those whom I know are hardworking students well, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I want to end by saying that all of this would come to naught. All of this would come to naught, Madam Speaker, if we did not ensure that the people participated and that the people came forward to take advantage of all the opportunities made available to them, Madam Speaker. And so I want to suggest to the government, I want to agree with Senator Thomas, who suggested, no, I agree with him. I mean, we have to be bipartisan, I want to agree with him that we have to ensure that we create, access to information. And I want to suggest to the government that we create information centers that would, ensure that the people are able to walk in and to access information. Because if they do not participate, if they do not come forward, Madam Speaker, to really ensure that they take advantage of the opportunities, then whatever we're presenting here would really come to naught. So, Madam Speaker, I just want to say that we as Dominicans must change our attitude and our approach to development. The government has outlined in this budget the opportunities, the plan of action to take Dominica forward. I want to suggest, Madam Speaker, that we as Dominicans develop an attitude which really and truly helps us to bring forward what I call patriotic confidence, Madam Speaker. When we talk about patriotism, it must not just be lip service. We must have a certain sense of confidence when we express our patriotism, Madam Speaker. So patriotic confidence is what I suggest that we ensure that the Dominican community enjoys, so that we can all put our hands to the plow and build this country. Madam Speaker, with these few words, I want to support this national budget, which I believe will really help to put Dominica forward on the world stage. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I stand with a high level of pride and exuberance to support this first ever, just below $900 million budget presented by our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit. It is a historic moment for all Dominicans, a moment to recognize, and justly so, our accomplishment of one, a reducing debt to GDP ratio to a record low in the OECS, and secondly, a 2.8 growth above the regional average. And we also hope, or it is also projected, that we are going to surpass this average next year. And this is despite the challenges faced locally, brought about by natural disasters such as Tropical Storm Erica, brought about by Black Sikatoka, the disease which affected our banana production, also impacted by the global financial situation. But also the challenge that we face due to the daily machinations of the United Workers' Party, the opposition, to bring down this country, and their continuous attempts to undermine the efforts of this government and to destroy the CBI, a major revenue stream for this country. It is a moment when we must pay recognition to the hard work, effective and strategic leadership, and prudent fiscal management led by the efforts of the Minister of Finance, our Prime Minister, and his hard-working staff. Madam Speaker, it cannot be by chance that we have come so far. It cannot be by pie-in-the-sky ideas without any effective strategies and plans, as the opposition would like to allow people, or would like to have others think, but because of practical solutions that fit the reality of Dominica's situation. I would like to tell the opposition that anyone could suggest repainting the sky and tiling the ocean bed, but there must be a how to do so. Madam Speaker, this people-oriented budget, and time again it has been proven, every day it's proven that this is a people-centered government, and the budget encourages all citizens at home and abroad to commit ourselves towards the national development thrust, to a modern and progressive Dominica, to collective responsibility, and will foster ever greater effort towards sustainable and equitable development. Madam Speaker, the budget provides a platform for all to come and play their role. It allows for inclusion and participation of farmers. it provides for direct support to help farmers improve their production and to meet the growing demands for our local produce. The budget has provided $24 million for entrepreneurs, $4 million to go towards a new entrepreneurship program that targets young entrepreneurs, those who may not be able to have the necessary collateral to access loans from the bank, those who want to expand on their businesses, those who have new innovative ideas that they can chart the process forward in terms of spreading the culture of enterprise and investing in new initiatives. The manufacturers are also very happy as based on their request is met right now with a $15 million provision to be placed at the aid bank with 3% interest rate and 1-year grace period. It cannot get any better than that. And so the manufacturers are happy. The students and professionals, I am sure, are happy and are looking forward to increased training, to opportunities for training, improved knowledge and skills for specialization so that they can build on their career path and provide added services towards the development of this country. The youth, and that would include a number of young people, I hope, who are going to take advantage of these opportunities. And the youth as well, I am sure, and sportsmen, the athletes, the basketballers, in the various fields of sports, they too are happy for this budget because it has provided for the construction of a multi-purpose sports complex. The budget provides for development across geographical locations in both the urban and rural settings. And we think of a modernized, a good-looking and improved Roseau and Portsmouth that will benefit all citizens and the tourism sector. Madam Speaker, the budget outlined in this appropriation bill is expected to positively impact all sectors within the Dominican society and targets those at every strata of society, setting the pace for furtherance of the social and economic advancement and modernization of our beloved country and opening up new avenues to take advantage of existing and emerging opportunities for individual and national growth and development. We see, Madam Speaker, that provisions have been made in this budget that will increase economic activities, new areas of employment, expansion in the human resource capacity, and generation of wealth and income. Therefore, we expect an improved socio-economic well-being of all citizens. So I am sounding a call to all of us to take advantage of the opportunities provided in this budget because there is something for everyone, we the people. It is a budget for we the people. Madam Speaker, the continued funding towards geothermal development is fundamental to a modern Dominica and to adequate generation of affordable energy for both domestic and commercial purposes. Affordable energy is critical to an enabling environment for ease of doing business, to support commerce and trade. And so too is the international airport that a fund has already been established, and every month an allocation of $5 million will be placed in that fund to ensure that we work towards the realization of an international airport, a necessity for improved travel, for tourism, but also to ensure that we have private sector development in Dominica. An international airport will surely benefit private sector development, increase business, increase visits to Dominica for business purposes. And so that too is very critical. Further, as Minister of Commerce, I am extremely happy for the support to ensure the reopening of the Dominica coconut products, which prior to Tropical Storm Erica was the major manufacturing exporter. And it will create employment, as we heard, starting initially with 10 people, but hopefully by the end of the next year, over 100 people will be employed. And this will ensure, again, foreign exchange earnings or increase in foreign exchange earnings to add to our revenue streams in Dominica. Madam Speaker, in this well-put-together budget, provisions and investment do not only target the productive sector, but ensures that we continue to meet the needs of the more vulnerable among us. Provisions to ensure outreach and education for the physically challenged. This shows the depth of care of our leader and our government, understanding the plight of all the vulnerable groups among us and continuing to make provisions for them. So last year, there was the pilot project for national insurance that benefited single mothers. This year, and then we continue all the other social programs that benefit our elderly, that benefit our young people. And today, in this budget, we are making provision for the education of the physically challenged that will benefit not only the physically challenged individuals, but their families. So we are talking about the empowerment of such disadvantaged groups and to get them to transition to self-reliance. I am certain all families with physically challenged children are happy with this budget and the planned initiative to educate these vulnerable children and empower their parents. I am certain, too, that all cancer patients, their families and friends, and the entire nation as a whole are happy with the $5 million provision that will ease the burden of obtaining necessary treatment. I think this government has the people at heart, and this cannot be contested by the opposition. At the Ministry of Commerce, we have been playing our part, and every day we see the results of the investments made by this government in micro and small businesses in Dominica. As articulated by the Prime Minister, this last financial year, over $13.5 million was disbursed to small business clients across the length and breadth of Dominica, empowering small businesses or empowering these people to start up or expand their businesses. Of this amount, $5.3 million was disbursed through the ministry's regular program to 225 existing businesses who were able to restock, purchase new or improved equipment, expand their services, employ additional people. And we also provided grants to 185 new businesses. And Madam Speaker, if we provide grants to 185 new businesses, this is also a strong indication of employment creation because the business can't run itself. In fact, our records show that support to these 440 businesses ensured new employment of 278 people. So the 185 created self-employment, and a number of the new and existing businesses created employment for others because we supported them to expand their businesses. The member of Roseau South spoke of unemployment, and I wish he was here to hear that this government is about providing the means of people creating employment for themselves and others through enterprise, through support to micro and small businesses in Dominica. And I also heard he spoke about the unemployment rate, but I would want to think that he should look at the definition of the unemployed people, because in there, they are rating as unemployed 15 to 24-year-olds. You tell me where most of the 15 to 24-year-olds are. Where are they? They are within the school system. So whatever rate that you have, it would be a flawed rate of unemployment. In addition to our regular ministry level disbursement, approximately $7.6 million was disbursed via the local authorities. Our ongoing monitoring and follow-up by the ministry indicate that 82% of these funds, or $6.2 million, have already been utilized for the said purpose, benefiting 1,217 small businesses in 29 communities, while 16% of these funds is still to be disbursed by some of the village councils, as for some communities, a phased approach is being utilized. Madam Speaker, I hear the members of the opposition asking, where are the businesses? But I do not know who or what they are looking for, whether they are looking for major $1 million corporations. Obviously, they are not on the ground. They are not connected because they need to get real. We are talking about micro and small businesses. We are talking about the poultry farmer who is now producing for the abattoir. We are talking about the fishermen now equipped with new or better boats and engines. We are talking about the seamstresses or the tailors who are now better equipped with some new machines, equipment, build their little workshops, and engage in providing school uniforms or producing soft furnishes that can supply our upcoming hotels. We are talking about the women engaged in confectionaries, pastries, catering services, the many producers of virgin coconut oil for local and the regional niche markets like in Guadeloupe and Martinique. We are talking about the cocoa producers, including Choco Dominic, instant cocoa, already on the shelves in Martinique. We are talking about the cluster of cassava producers in the Kalinago territory, and who have now added value to having cassava flour and cassava pastries. And Madam Speaker, they taste very good. You cannot even tell the difference whether it is from the ordinary flour or cassava flour. We are talking about the herbal tea producers for local and regional markets, and which are in high demand and which we need to further equip these people to meet the standards to really delve into the existing market opportunities. We are talking about the young men with their brush cutters, their chainsaws, and their power wash machines, providing services to their community and earning a living. We are talking about the bakeries in several communities, a couple of which started from scratch and which are in full operation now, and those which expanded to create new jobs. We are talking about the women in food and beverages, and the list goes on. You would note, Madam Speaker, that the funds impacted enterprises and the small business sector in many areas of economic activities, to include retail and wholesale business, culinary, garment manufacturing, poultry and livestock, fishing, cosmetology, beauty, barbering, farming, agro-processing, music, graphics and ICT, and several other areas. You know, Madam Speaker, the officer currently engaged to follow up with these small businesses described his experience on the ground as enlightening, because like me, for many of these small entrepreneurs, he is amazed as to how much many of them have been able to stretch the given resources to make their business happen. Because, Madam Speaker, we do not provide the grants and just let things roll out, but we monitor. We do site visits, we provide technical advice, and we train them to run a successful business. This year, we were able to do over 860 site visits and dialogue with small business owners. There were strategic training programs for all these MSME clients, which were held in several districts in the north, northeast, south, southeast, and west coast, benefiting 1,064 small business persons with a representation of about 63% female and 37% male across 25 communities. Participants were trained in how to run a successful business, covering areas such as business management and operations and resource management. This year, we will continue this training, and we will also expand to e-commerce and e-marketing. And with the assistance of a young professional, we will pilot an e-commerce platform to benefit those ready for the online markets. The ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Chinese Embassy here in Dominica, we were able to facilitate the participation of a number of micro and small businesses to attend training in China. They've attended training such as in garment manufacturing, 8 persons, bamboo craft and furniture, 11 persons, and now 3 are attending courses in ceramic production. This helps to strengthen capacity, enable innovation, and expand potential for diversified enterprise. Madam Speaker, the 2 products that my sister, the member of Soufriere, displayed is just a mere drop in the bucket of the extent of the local products and expanded businesses we encounter every day that has been supported by this government. I can relay countless success stories where unemployed men and women, to include the young people, were given a small grant, have almost made miracles with the small grant, and are well on their way as small business owners. The 2 products that, I can speak of a client involved in embroidery on T-shirt, cups, mugs, who is now equipped, whose equipment are now on the port because of the support that we provide him, and he will be fully self-operational. And these individuals, unlike the articulation by the opposition that Marigot does not benefit, this individual is from Marigot. Several people from Marigot have benefited from the small business. And you know, I'll come back to that as to what happened. How the I will come back. That the leader of the opposition seemed to be very unaware of what's happening in his constituency. There's also, I can speak of all the virgin coconut oil producers who have their products on the shelves in Dominica, but I want to make mention of one who has secured factory space, who is well equipped, and has now employed 5 people. 2 people full-time and 3 part-time, because of our support, have been able to establish and create employment for 5 people. I can speak of a young man who is into the manufacturing of concrete yard tiles and how he was innovative. We assisted him with just a small amount, and now he has expanded. And we gave this young man some money, and he was very innovative to the extent that he needed a vibrating table to ensure that the process of making his tile is quicker, neater, and reduces wastage. And when this young man went online and saw the vibrating table was costing him $5,000 US, he decided to get a motor from an old mixer, a good motor that was functioning, and he got a welder to make the table, and he installed the motor, and he now has a very good, functional vibrating table. That's how innovative our young people are. So if we provide a little support for our youth, that is the extent to which they can go. And this young man has been having several projects in the north of Dominica. We also can speak, or I can also speak of another producer of coconut oil, virgin coconut oil, who is now doing coconut hair butter. And this butter has, that hair butter, it has gained much momentum. So there's a lot of sale for this hair butter. We have a young man who is into various tasting cassava bread. He functions both in his village and close to the bayfront when there's stories. And now, based on the demands, he's told me last week, 2 weeks ago, that he's going to go to Marigalland because he's been invited to go to Marigalland and set up in the market in Marigalland fortnightly on Saturdays. So we have quite a lot of success stories. Yes. And we are working on a documentary with GIS. GIS is helping us so that we can showcase so many of the success stories because of the investments we have made in young entrepreneurs or in entrepreneurs in general across the country of Dominica. Expanding the rural economy, ensuring people have sustainable livelihoods and less dependent on the government, and creating employment, as I said, for themselves and others. So, Madam Speaker, I heard the leader of the opposition spoke with skepticism regarding investments made and support given to small and micro businesses in Dominica. But as usual, he apparently chooses not to inform himself. It is sad, Madam Speaker, but I recall at Market Day with a Difference in Marigot last year that he, the PAL rep of Marigot, tried to indicate during his remarks that Marigot people were not benefiting from such programs. But I was forced to point out publicly 3 small entrepreneurs right in front of him with display booths right there in front of him who were beneficiaries of the small business grants. When he finished, he couldn't watch the people in their eyes. All of his articulations that day showed him up as having little knowledge of what is going on in his own constituency. Just like today, I wonder if he is aware that the higher percentage of recipients of the soft loans from the special facility disbursed by the Aid Bank to date come from the Northeast District, more so Marigot. 31 out of 114 farmers who benefited as of June 30th, 2017 are from Calibishi to Marigot, and most of them are from Marigot. And the loans disbursed to them, these 31 people, accounted for just below $0.5 million out of the $2 million disbursed. And combined, those from the North, we really have to applaud our people because combined, 40% of the loans disbursed has been disbursed to farmers of the North and Northeast. So I applaud the hardworking farmers, and especially the hardworking farmers of Calibishi. And I want to single out a young farmer who is seen as a model farmer by the Aid Bank, who was featured, Lenny Aubrey, who has taken this thing and is running with it. He is a very good farmer, a young man in his 20s. Madam Speaker, in addition to the credit facilities established at the Aid Bank last financial year for agriculture, we all know, $10 million, hotel and restaurants, $15 million, the music industry, $1 million. We are happy to have an allocation of $15 million that will go towards manufacturing, as I said, at 3% interest and 1-year grace period, and an added $4 million towards entrepreneurship. And we intend to ensure to continue to work with the Dominica Manufacturers Association, encouraging them, providing necessary training support so that they will take full advantage of these loans as working capital, as money to ensure that they are fully equipped to increase their volume, improve their quality, and to become export ready to reach not only the local market, but the regional market. We continue to work with the Manufacturers Association And if we want to have an idea of the products that we have, we can go to the one-stop shop at the market that we assisted DMA to put together. And there we will see the good packaging of some of our products that we have. I cannot believe the member for Roseau who says he is for private sector development would not choose the best, but that is what we expect of them. There are many of our small business people. We know they need some added support to improve their packaging, and the budget provides for that kind of support. But we know that a lot of them have very good packages. So how comes this member of Roseau comes with this flimsy package when he knows we have so much more, so much better products that he can show off? But it does not amaze us, because it seems they always promote the negative image of Dominica. Yes, but he chose, yes, he cries on everything. At the Ministry of Commerce, we also run a rural-based enterprise center program that seeks to incubate small businesses so they can emerge as thriving businesses, as new businesses, and we also do some for clustering purposes. The idea is to ensure that we have young people with business ideas, that we can get them to develop this skill. It also has the added value of assisting women, like all of what we do, women and youth who are disadvantaged, so they may not have the necessary skill. For women, there's a gender benefit to that, in that women can begin to work close to their homestead, so they are able to wake up, take care of the children, do their domestic chores, and be able to work to earn. So they play their dual role and contribute to their own development and to the development of their families and communities. So far, we have 8 rural-based centers in Siniku, Dubla, Cassibruce, Rivière-Syrique, Grand Fond, in various skills. And we intend to continue working with Bells. We are working with the Bells community where they can add value to dashing. We know Bells is a dashing producing area, so that they can peel the dashing, freeze it, package it, and make it very readily available at the supermarket. So we are working with Bells. We'll also be working with St. Joseph and Tatan as new RBECs. And we continue work as well in Grand Bay, where we will be clustering some small businesses. Through the rural-based enterprise centers, 125 men and 147 women have participated, and it has created direct employment for 27 men and 29 women. So, Madam Speaker, let me sensitize the opposition and general public on what this government is doing and on the benefits of this level of investment in enterprise development. We are well on our way to expanding and diversify the economy, including the rural economy. We are enabling growth in the private sector and building on existing industries. We are promoting and encouraging innovation. We are empowering both women and youth and men at all the levels of society. We are able, through the enterprise, to provide more and improved goods and services to the country and region. And now, the budget has made provision for CVQ certification, which will allow our citizens to take advantage of opportunities within the CSME to provide added goods and services. We are adding value to our primary products, reducing the traditional approach of always exporting our surplus value. We are positioning citizens to take advantage of the various developments, ensuring they can take advantage of both the forward and backward linkages, to be able to provide for the abattoir, to be able to provide for the hotels, to be able to provide for the pack houses. So when the opposition, in an effort to sound eloquent, begin to say we plan haphazardly, I would encourage them to first understand the linkages and begin to appreciate the holistic and integrated approach to development that this government is taking. Because the presentation I heard from the opposition leader, in my view, had no relevance to the budget, had no substantial content, had no passion, had no coherence, had no alternative solutions, just a string of high-flown words and unconnected ideas that does not reflect the reality or represent any sound strategy, and further, with no proposed resource base. No plan, no thinking, no ideas, just disconnected, probably go on some documents, some website somewhere and just cut certain things and those things. Yes, a string of words. And has nothing, and I understand because it is a very good budget, but their operation, their modus operandi is to look for everything negative. And since they couldn't find anything positive to say, they would cry down the very good budget that was presented. And that is the leader of opposition. In this entire budget, there was nothing positive that you could say that benefits Dominica? Come on. And it just helps all of us, as most Dominicans conclude, that he's not serious and he does not have much to offer. So the ministry, in the new year coming up, we will continue our grant and technical support to small business. 4.5 million has been provided for that purpose. We will also be putting things in place for the new program, working with the necessary agencies, other government agencies, to ensure we put in place the structures for implementation of the new entrepreneurship program. We are finalizing a draft policy. So this will be finalized, and we will also be working on the draft legislation that hopefully will be tabled in government in the next couple of months. We will continue work, as I said, with our new rural-based enterprise centers for Bells, Tatton, St. Joseph, and Grand Bay. We will also be seeking to ensure that we have continued successful businesses, and a lot of the businesses we support are new businesses. So we will be doing what we call, we are working with the OECS for what we call Small Business Development Centers. It's really a model where key organizations provide for their membership and others mentorship, business advisory, business counseling, so people can have that on a continuous basis. We will also, as I say, we'll finalize the policy and have legislation on MSMEs. So we will continue the work, and we will continue our strategic partnership with all of the stakeholders. We work closely not only with Dominican Manufacturers Association, but the DAIC, the Arts and Crafts Association, the Coalition of Services, the DYBT, so that we cover private sector development and entrepreneurs across the board. I would like to turn now to, we hope, and I've been discussing with the Minister of ICT, Science and Technology, to be able to improve on innovation. We know the Center of Excellence has turned out a number of people, and we would hope that some of them have the innovative ideas. So we will run a program with those who are interested and provide the necessary support. So we'll be working with the Minister of ICT for that. We also hope to focus more greatly on agro-processing. So we will help most of the agro-processors and light manufacturers for this year. That will be our area of focus, because we recognize that there are a number of very good products in Dominica, but what needs to be done is to improve in volumes and try to get them to be export ready. So, but that's what we've been doing. That's what's on our plan. So it's not, so stop taking credit for what is already there. I now turn to my constituency, and I want to really express gratitude to my constituents within all of the communities, the village councils who have been working very assiduously to support the various projects. They are some of the main implementers for the projects that we do. And the constituency have benefited from a number of village roads. The last set of village roads being done was to a tune of over $900,000. There's also the Belmania Village Road that repairs to that, rehabilitation. And the money is now at the Pebush Village Council to have that done. And what we are waiting is, the Wasco has been changing the pipes in this area, and they just have a little section to finish. So we hope they will do that. They were expected to do that a couple of weeks ago. The famous Zolivier is about to start. It's an area that is very vulnerable in the Pebush area, and I want to thank the Minister of Public Works. I was always on her case for that, because every time it rained, the Pebush people would feel fretted. So we are happy that this is about to start. A retaining wall in Benz. We want to thank the contractor who did this job, did a very good job. That again was another vulnerable area in the constituency. We also, the Pebush, the entire constituency, benefited from small business support, small business grants, and I am proud that as I go through the communities, there are a number of people who are doing very well, and the officer doing the monitoring on the ground for us, doing the follow-up, was very impressed. He said when he went there, it's like everybody was at work. He could just see the impact of small business within the community. And even when we were doing a self-help, and I want to thank all of the people who came for the self-help that we did to the landing site in Anzimbe, which was a health hazard. And in a short while, we were able to repair that as an interim measure, because a couple persons had fallen there, and it was causing injury. So even while there, I could see the impact of small business on the community. Late in the afternoon, there were several boats coming in, and I could see, when I came into office, some of them used to have some small boats in conditions of disrepair, but just at the end of the day, about 5 boats were coming in, and I had to take a picture because I could just see the impact of small business in Anzimbe. They had bigger boats, new boats. Some of the boats had new engines, big engines, and so it helped in increased economic activity in Anzimbe. And so I would just encourage the constituents and all Dominicans who are receiving support from the government, understand that the government is trying to empower you and make the best of the resources available to you so that you can help yourselves and your family. And as the report shows, most people are already doing that. So we want you to continue to do so. In the constituency, we benefited a lot from housing and sanitation. We had $350,000 that has been expended on particularly people with leaking roof. With 98 washrooms as we speak are being constructed in the constituency of Pebush. Yes, Pebush in all 3 communities. 50 in Calibishi, 30 in Benson Zimia Solda, 18 in Paybush. We will continue work. We've been working with the Ministry of Tourism and the tourism group in Benz towards development of the Shodia Pool and also the village council, so we will continue to do that. We continue to work with the farmers group, and the farmers group was supported with fertilizer and other funds to purchase oils and so on, and other input. And the Calibishi Farmers Group benefited from a tiller, and they've been making very good use of this tiller. The people involved in potato production, tanya production, they have been making use of the tiller. And Calibishi is an area, a lot of the farmers have begun to say, those that are providing for the pack houses, tanya and so, that they're doing very well. So I encourage others to continue to take advantage of the opportunities provided to improve agriculture in our country and to contribute to export, not only export, but our own food security. We also provided funds for improvement in our courts in Benz and in Paybush, and there's ongoing work as well on those courts. We are happy for provisions this year to address the river wall under the BNTF program. The Calibishi River Wall will be done. The Anzime Health Center, Dr. Darrow, thank you, and Honorable Lady Catherine, thank you for providing this support, and I look forward to it. The Calibishi School is also long in the making, and we preliminary designs were presented to stakeholders, and this year $200,000 is also provided to finalize the designs for the Calibishi School. We will also benefit from the irrigation project under the Ministry of Agriculture, and I see this benefiting not only the irrigation for agricultural purposes, but the water supply there, I am told, is enough to even assist in addressing the water issue in Calibishi. So it will be serving a dual purpose, and so we are very grateful for it, and we ask the Calibishi people to be patient as provisions have been made, not just for irrigation, but which will benefit your water supply. We continue to reach out to the youth. I've been having a series of meetings with the youth with the intention of working with them. One of the issues the youth, two issues is in the area of sports. So we'll continue to work with you in terms of your sport facilities, and also there are some interested in enterprise development. So we will be working with you in that regard. We are also happy. We ask the farmers to be patient again. They've had a lot of patience. I must thank the Calibishi farmers with regards to the feeder road that has been coming and has been coming. And hopefully it will materialize this year. So the Middle Ridge Road, we are waiting it. And we are also grateful for the Marigot Hospital because it serves the people of Calibishi as well. So the government will continue its housing and sanitation. There are 3 people who have benefited from full houses, and the Honorable Peter is not there. One of them looks like a dashing house, a very beautiful dashing house. So the family that benefit, everybody who passes love this house, so I'll be showcasing it sometime soon. And then there are other single women households who will benefit, who are in the living homes that they should not be living in. And hopefully we will be assisting these people with houses. So our sanitation program, although we are doing 98 washrooms, there are still quite a few to be done. So we ask the village council to speed up the process so that we can make sure by end of 2017 we have done all required washroom. We have fully eliminated pit latrine in the Paybush constituency. So with that, and with all of the provisions in this budget which signals already a progressive and modern Dominica. I have no choice, and nobody has a choice. Even the opposition who pretend, but they know it's a good budget. That's why they went all over the place, north, south, east, west, talking nonsense. And they too know they should support the budget. So, with no further words, I would like to pledge my full support to this budget.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make my contribution to the 2017-2018 budget presentation under the theme, Realizing a Modern and Prosperous Dominica. And Madam Speaker, in making my contribution, Madam Speaker, I must state that this 2017-2018 budget can best be described as one of the most comprehensive, forward-thinking budgets of this Labour Party government, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in his address, the Honorable Prime Minister was very clear that Dominica's economy expanded during 2016-2017 fiscal year by 2.8%, Madam Speaker. And that in itself must be noted, Madam Speaker, considering the challenges that we had in 2016, Madam Speaker. But this was a collective result, Madam Speaker, a collective result of hard work by the entire working force of every sector in this country, Madam Speaker. The public service played their part. The farmers, the contractors, the fishermen, every sector played its part, Madam Speaker, in realizing the growth that we made, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, the same cannot be said to the opposition establishment. Because, Madam Speaker, in 2016-2017, while we continued toiling upwards with hearts and hands and voices, the opposition party, UWP, its surrogates, led by the member for the Marigot constituency, the leader of the opposition, were well entrenched in organizing destruction, Madam Speaker, in this country. Yeah. And we must take note of that. Madam Speaker, the January 1st, 2017 interview on CBS was not an isolated event, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the February 7th, 2017 demonstration, fire in Roseau, destruction of private businesses, all part of a well-oiled, destructive machine by the UWP, Madam Speaker. And we must be clear on that.
You can't say that.
I take that back, Madam Speaker. I take it back, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the fire on the streets of Salisbury, the blocking of roads were not an isolated event, Madam Speaker. Because while we are recognizing 2.8% growth, during the demonstration, there were persons who had to either travel from Roseau to Portsmouth to work, or travel from Portsmouth to Roseau to work, who could not have gone to work. Sure. And that was productive time lost, Madam Speaker. All of the demonstration were events which caused loss of production in this country. Sure. But at the same time, Madam Speaker, we never stopped fighting. We never stopped working. And we recognize growth, Madam Speaker. So all plans of destroying this country did not work, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the opposition must accept that they have not contributed to the growth of 2.8% we are realizing in this country at this time, Madam Speaker. They have not contributed because all they were doing were planning destruction, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I listened to the opposition leader, and in his entire presentation, the opposition leader has not tendered one viable proposal, not in agriculture, not in tourism, not in health, not in entrepreneurship, not even in small business, not one proposal that we can say, listening to the opposition leader, this is something we can take and move forward with this country, Madam Speaker. Nothing. Empty presentation to the House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, while all this was happening, all of the destructions, I remember clearly our elderly people, they were crying at their homes, wondering if tomorrow Dominica will be at peace, because they were seeing the live, seen on television, fire all over the place and so on. But those of us within this government, we were never distracted. And if you look carefully, Madam Speaker, the opposition always selected a Tuesday when we are in cabinet to create mayhem in the country, Madam Speaker. And we have never stopped cabinet, not once. Cabinet went through, we continue discussing the plans of this country, and we continue working for the advancement of this country. And today we are seeing the results of the hard work of our leader, Madam Speaker, and moving this country forward. We will come to the abattoir, my friend. Don't be afraid. Madam Speaker, the agricultural sector is a major pillar of economic growth for this country, Madam Speaker. And let me at this time thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his commitment to supporting agriculture in this country, Madam Speaker. He is not only a farmer, but with every opportunity he gets, he makes the necessary funds available for advancement within the sector, Madam Speaker. And we are seeing the results, because in this budget, Madam Speaker, the agriculture, livestock, and forestry grew by 9.9%, and this is remarkable. When one considers the utterances on radio, agriculture is dead. And I must congratulate the farmers of this island, Madam Speaker. Yes. Because whilst there were certain persons in the country promoting that agriculture is dead, there is nothing happening in agriculture, serious farmers were taking advantage of the opportunities. And they were going to the aid bank, taking from the facility that we established, the $10 million facility. And that is why over 140 farmers have benefited thus far from that facility. And over $2.5 million have been disbursed, because the farmers realized that they needed that extra support. So they were not distracted. And that is why as well, with the support of the pack houses that has been established, we are able to export top quality product to original and international partners. And we have seen the results of the development in the sector. Madam Speaker, I want to turn to the manifesto of the Dominica Labour Party of the last election on page 26, I think it is. And I read, Madam Speaker. Here's some light. I read, Madam Speaker. And that's coming from page 26 of the manifesto. Mr. Speaker, in the year leading up to 2013-2014, farmers were encouraged to concentrate on crops such as spices, peppers, flowers, and selected vegetables, which yielded higher income return than bananas. So the whole idea, Madam Speaker, of establishing a core group of farmers for bananas has been around for some time, because we knew the stressors of the banana planting subsector, the fight with black sigatoka, and therefore we were already encouraging the farmers to go into these high-end crops, Madam Speaker. The Ministry of Agriculture relentlessly helped farmers to increase the production of root crops, passion fruits, ginger, Christophine, cassava, arrowroot, coconut, floriculture, by providing support to over 1,000 farmers. At the same time, work began on the 2 pack houses in Roseau and Portsmouth to raise standards and facilitate the export of agricultural produce. Both of these pack houses are fully commissioned and are at the helm And I must thank the Minister of Trade, the Honorable Ian Douglas, for all of his support in encouraging farmers and ensuring that quality products goes through the pack houses to the export market, Madam Speaker. So this is clear, Madam Speaker, that the pack houses were part of the structured program for advancing the agricultural sector, and we are now seeing the results. It's well embedded in our 2014 manifesto, Mr. Speaker, and we must take note of that. And so, Mr. Speaker, it continued, and I'm picking up a document that I received from the Ministry of Trade today, and it states, the hot sellers on the regional market now, having read what the manifesto stated in 2014, the hot sellers on the regional market now are yams, dashing, ginger, plantain, sweet potatoes, couscous, cucumbers, seasoning pepper, avocados, turmeric, Christophines, farine, toloma, spices, and tanya. Exactly what was said in the manifesto, and with all our effort at encouraging diversification, with all of the support that we are giving to farmers, farmers have taken advantage of the opportunity, and we are seeing the results reflecting itself in this 2017, 2018 budget, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker. And I want to congratulate the farmers who have toiled very, very hard to get us to a 9.9% growth. And I know for sure, within the next fiscal year, we will increase our percentage to GDP, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, in agriculture. So we are not perturbed by no radio program bashing agriculture. We have a job to do, and we'll continue to do it. Our mandate is to ensure that our farmers continue to make a living in the agricultural sector, and we'll do it collectively as a government, as a cabinet, as a ministry. The support of persons like Honorable the Minister for Honorable McIntyre will not go unrecognized. Always supporting the Planning Minister, always supporting the sector, always making meaningful contribution to the sector going forward. And we recognize that, and we will continue to take advantage of that, Mr. Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, the agricultural sector made significant growth. The banana and plantain subsector saw a 14% increase in the fiscal year 2016-2017. Yams, potatoes, tanya, dashing, cucumber, pumpkin, and vegetables grew by 10%. This is also remarkable, Mr. Speaker. We are seeing tangible results with the collaboration between the Ministry of Trade, Dexia, the Bureau of Standard, the Hucksters Association, and our supermarket outlets, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker. The supermarket outlets, they are one of the major pushers of local vegetables, Mr. Speaker. Anytime you go into the supermarkets, you will meet fresh produce, cucumbers, dashing, plantain, bananas, you name it, or ripeners. They're doing a very good job in ensuring that the persons who like their ripe bananas can get it on a regular basis, not only in the supermarkets, but in the street corners across the island. And all of these small efforts are assisting in pushing the agricultural sector forward, because we are satisfied that when it comes to food security, we know where we are at, but we know that we have to do additional work to take advantage of the export market, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the 2017-18 fiscal year, some 13,819,009 will be pumped into the agricultural sector, Mr. Speaker. This is government commitment to the farmers. This is government commitment to the exporters. This is government commitment to the entire sector, that this government is well entrenched in supporting agriculture. This government is putting its money where its mouth is, and this government is making $13 million available for the agricultural sector, Mr. Speaker. And I will go into some of the areas of interest, Mr. Speaker. Enhancement of the phytosanitary capacity of the plant protection and quarantine unit, Mr. Speaker. We are bombarded by pests and diseases, taking an advantage of our farmers. As a matter of fact, it's one of the highest costs for our farmers today, management of pests and diseases in their crop, Mr. Speaker. Farmers go into vegetable and their crops are moving on well. All of a sudden, some disease come in and it costs them a lot of money to control it. And for some of them, they lose the entire crop. And so, the government in this budget is putting $904,555 dollars to help our farmers, Mr. Speaker, through the ministry in reducing loss to yields and income caused by pests and disease. Hopefully, we hope that within the year, we would have reduced the cost by some 30% to prevent the introduction and spread of invasive pest species and to increase market access. Because this is why the farmer goes into agriculture, is to increase his market access and to make a comfortable living out of his farm. And so the ministry, hopefully this year, we will take a better hold on some of these pests and disease by investing almost $1 million in the management of pests and disease to enhance our food security and to improve income and livelihood of our farmers, in particular our rural farmers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the operationalization of the National Abattoir, we will in this budget invest $1.6 million into the abattoir, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, the abattoir is now complete with all machinery and equipment, Mr. Speaker. And the abattoir is making a very good dent on cutting our meat import bill as we speak, Mr. Speaker. Presently, to date, Mr. Speaker, to date, 72,894 pounds of chicken and 24,530 pounds of pork have been processed at the abattoir at a total value of $608,544. So we're over $500,000. And we will increase, because I got the news today that one of the major meat sellers on the island is now asking for 1,000 pounds of pork a week, because the quality of meat that comes out of the abattoir, the farmers, the consumers are rapidly buying into it. They are getting the cuts that they need. They are getting the supply on a regular basis, and they know no supermarket can have pork in it that is fresh, coming from overseas. The only fresh pork you can get is pork coming out of the abattoir, which is wholesome. The vet unit of the ministry, they are supervising the farms, they are supporting the farmers, they are assisting the farmers, and we will increase the production of pigs on the island to meet the growing demand for pork. By November, when we have the Creole Festival, 90% of all of the pork you will meet on the grills will be coming from the abattoir, I can assure you that. And rest assured, I can assure you that. Madam Speaker, this is also of importance. Out of this amount, 18,876 pounds of chicken has been purchased from farms established under the NEP. NEP, a program that you guys continue to criticize. But we are saying in this budget that we are presenting that some $118,256 has been paid out to young farmers through the NEP program, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker. So they have established this facility with support from the Ministry of Trade across the island, and they are able to support regularly, provide chicken for the abattoir for slaughter. Eventually, most of these young people will go on their own and establish their independent project, having been trained over a period of time and having mastered the art of producing chicken. The government itself will support them in establishing their own independent unit. Because we're not going to stop here. We have to make a dent out of that $14 million meat import bill, but we will do it incrementally. We will not get it done right away. We will do that incrementally. But we have a challenge. We have a challenge. The United Workers' Party, the official opposition, continue to criticize the abattoir. And they are discouraging people from purchasing from the abattoir. No. Madam Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. This presentation by the opposition here in the parliament, playing Mr. Nice Boy like they're so friendly to us and they want to work with the government, that's a show inside here. As soon as they leave, this building is brimstone and fire. As soon as they step out of this door, is done with the government. Get those stones, demonstration, that's what they're all about. They're not interested in Dominica's development. You realize that they're not interested in Dominica's development. I can say that? Okay, I'm taking back the part of the stones. Mr. Speaker, why do you think the opposition leader, Mr. Speaker, the opposition leader failed to mention one viable project he has in mind? Because for the whole year, all he's discussing is voter ID and suppressing votes. That's all the opposition leader does. Anytime he gets a chance on a program, is to, as a matter of fact, while the government is looking at ways of getting the new citizens to pay taxes into the country, the only thing the opposition talks about is his fear of they coming to vote, That's his biggest fear, These persons becoming eligible voters. That's why he spends his time, because these are the things he's interested in. He's not interested in Dominica development. None of the opposition members are interested in the advancement of this country. It's a Labour Party government led by Roosevelt Skerrit. We are the ones who are interested in moving this country forward. Otherwise, they'll be making a better contribution. From 10 to them, they'll be making a positive contribution. Whenever they speak, it's to discourage people. So we know it, and we are aware of it, and that is why this Labour Party government will continue to operate in the manner of a storm is on the sea. The storm is not on the island, but we are getting the rough waters. The waves are bashing our shores. That's how the operation operates. But we have proper defense. So we will move this country forward with or without contribution of the opposition, because for the past 15 years, we've got nothing from them, and the country continue to move forward. So this is where we are, Mr. Speaker, as I get back on track. During the past 3 months, April to June, $217,648.58 has been paid to farmers for pork and poultry supplied to the national abattoir, Mr. Speaker. In just 3 months, some 217,000 paid to farmers. And as long as we can get this incremental consumption of pork and poultry, more money will be paid out to farmers. Most of these farmers, all of them have at least one employee with them. They'll be able to increase their employees by 2 and by another 2. And this is employment in the country. This is the things that we want people to support what is ours. The opposition, you are too caught up in not supporting growth in this country. And we cannot come here and pretend that you guys are supporting growth. We are seeking a reduction in import of pork and poultry by 10% in the next 2 years, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move to another area, Mr. Speaker, that's of importance. And that's a new venture, vegetable expansion. In this fiscal year, $1,301,482 will be invested in the production of vegetables, Mr. Speaker. And one of the areas that we are targeting is the new settlement, Dr. Darrow, of new settlement that we have. We hope to invest in greenhouses and other support for your new villagers in Jupik in vegetable production. They will be fully supported with fertilizers and greenhouses and land so that they can create a market for themselves and so on. So through this program, we intend to support them. Additionally, an assessment will be made, and the irrigations and so on are going to come on stream. And in the vegetable production areas, like Girondel, Dr. Mac, Mont Prosper, Bellevue Chopin, Grand Savan, Penville, Calabishi, Casabros, where we'll be working on irrigation, Lapland, and so on. All of these areas will be supported to increase vegetable production, and we'll be looking at high-end vegetable production. The demand that we have for cucumbers of some 10,000 pounds weekly under this program, we hope that, our hope is that we will be able to sustain that, establish the staggering of planting, where farmers will be part of a program, a structured program, where they will be assisted, and we will get the quality that we are looking at, because the demand for our crops is not only the root crops, but the vegetables are coming on board now. So the lettuce and the celeries and the cucumbers and so on, we have to start exporting some of these products. And with this $1.3 million being invested just in vegetables, we are sure that, like we have reported, for every other areas, we will get the multiplier effect that we are looking for to, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, construction and repairs of bridges on the Waiti-Kubuli National Trail. And I heard the member for Roseau, the Honorable, not Roseau, but Roseau South, I think it was. No, I think it was Vice, mentioned earlier today in his presentation that the trails are in a mess and people, but this cannot be true. Mr. Speaker, let me report to the Honorable House that the figures for the National Trail from January to March, user fees, ticket sale for the month of January 2017 was $272,884.68. User fees for the month of February was $187,140.40. User fees for the month of March was $223,799.40. So for the 3 months, February to March, a total of $723,540.63 was pumped into the economy through the payment of user fees for our ecotourism site, Mr. Speaker. So when the member come and say about the trail is in a mess, that's not true, because we know it has been maintained. Additionally, in this budget, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be spending $500,000, that is $500,000, to provide upgrade for 3 major sites where the bridges were lost during tropical America, segment 1, 3, and 5. And these areas are in places like Casabros, where we had this lovely spring bridge on the trail, and then tropical South America was so high, although the bridge was very high, but you know, tropical summer, the rivers exploded, and this bridge got washed away. It will be replaced, and this will provide unhindered and safe access to hikers, to include local and foreign visitors as well, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, of this $723,000 that was spent, that was only spent for the ecotourism site. What about the other areas that they spend all of the money for their lunch and their hotel rooms and so on, all of these tourists? Martinique is becoming a major market for our tourism, Martinique and Guadeloupe in Dominica. And hundreds of visitors come through Martinique and Guadeloupe, especially during the summer months when we have the down season for the cruise tourism. They form the bulk of the visitors who comes into the island, and they help sustain our sector, going to Emerald Pool and Trafalgar Fall and all of the other areas and so on, and spending their money, keeping the tourism sector going. So while you always see the negative side, our job is to do what it takes to ensure that these sub-sectors succeed. And they are succeeding, Madam Speaker. Because at the same time, Madam Speaker, on page 7 in my document, rehabilitation of trail facilities within the national parks, $298,000 will be spent on the rehabilitation of trails and national parks. And every year, money is budgeted for the rehabilitation and work on all of the trails and national parks. And of this, Mr. Speaker, improve accessibility to ecotourism sites to enhance visitor comfort. In this financial year 2017-2018, 12 of the designated ecotourism sites where user fees are charged will be considered. Namely, further work on, and we're talking about further works, because work is ongoing. Further works on Emerald Pool, Mont Trapiton Trail, Middleham Falls, Boiling Lake, Freshwater Lake, Champagne, Shimeleka, Grery Lake, Sophia Sulphur Spring, Cabrit National Park. If there are other sites that I have not mentioned, it must be those established on your holding. But all of the major sites are covered. All of the major sites are covered, Mr. Speaker. And they will be given attention with an injection of $298,000, because it is clear with us that we recognize the ecotourism site as a major contributor to our tourism product. And Mr. Speaker, all of these funds will be given to the Ministry of Tourism to include in their budget, because they are the ones managing the promotion of the tourism sites, and we are happy to be making a contribution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, development of the banana and plantain subsector. Some 3 million, and take note, some 3,184,372 will be going into the development of the banana and plantain subsector. And Mr. Speaker, even when we were taking a pounding from the Black Sea Katoka, government was still injecting support to the banana and plantain subsector. Government has never stopped doing that with fertilizer, with all kind of support we can, because we understand the importance of the banana and plantain subsector to the economy. But we were clear that not everybody can stay in bananas. Some persons, because of the challenge with managing Black Sea Katoka, the cost of production, the price in the marketplace, some persons were always better off leaving bananas and going to something else, and leaving plantain and diversifying, and so on. So no program on a Tuesday morning can derail our efforts at pushing the banana and plantain subsector forward. Sure. And so, Madam Speaker, we are seeing the results. The government of Dominica, no, I can never listen to you on a Tuesday. The government of Dominica has identified banana and plantain as development crops. For this reason, so government has increased the budgetary allocation by almost 100% to the banana and plantain subsector, Mr. Speaker. Government, and I want the farmers out there to listen. I don't want them to be distracted. I'm saying to you, those of you who intend to stay in bananas, who intend to stay in plantain, prepare yourself for hard work. However, your government, the Dominican Labour Party government, led by Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister, has doubled the budgetary allocation for you in 2016-2017, 2018. And we will support you. That is why, Mr. Speaker, we have already given to the farmers who are serious in 2016-2017. 50 farmers receive assistance to upgrade their pack houses and shed to meet certification standard to the sum of some $365,000. We have given this to the farmers, serious farmers, the 50 farmers, the core farmers we are looking at, who will work in the banana subsector and will upgrade their farms and be certified so we can go back on the export market. And the Prime Minister did recognize the hard work of persons like Mr. Kevin Stevenson, Mr. McIntyre, Angus McIntyre, and all of the extension persons who are working within the subsector to ensure that we arrest this thing. There'll be a new approach to fighting Black Sea Katoka, Mr. Speaker, with the added income that we now have. And mark you, every year government makes over $1 million available for fighting Black Sea Katoka. But it's an ongoing battle, and we recognize the challenge that we have. Farmers also have to play their part seriously. There are too many abandoned farms across the island, where the farmer only comes for 2 bunches of banana to take to his home to cook, and therefore he's not interested in serious banana production anymore. So therefore he feels, behave yourself. He feels he doesn't necessarily have to clean that farm anymore. But it is affecting the farmers who are serious about bananas because it is propagating black sigatoka. So I'm saying to the farmers across the island, those of you who are not interested in bananas, you should get out of it and diversify, because we will not be able to continue to have abandoned field affecting serious banana farmers as we go into the future. There are legislation to deal with that. We may have to implement it. But for sure, these farmers who are now receiving the 60,000 plantlets that we are bringing onto the island, and who are going to take bananas as the core farming practices, they have to be supported by the state across the board. And so with the new varieties that we're bringing in, and I should also state, Mr. Speaker, that the new varieties of bananas that we're bringing in are varieties recommended by CADI. When we brought in the first set of banana plantlets, CADI established demonstration farms. And CADI has decided that, although they're not totally black sigatoka resistant, but the varieties which we can establish going forward are the CV902, the Jumbo, and the Bamboo. These are the three varieties, Dr. Mack, that we will be bringing in. We have already started. We've brought in the first batch of the CV902 of 15,000 plantlets. We are distributing it to farmers. CADI recommended it. And we are moving it head on. By August, we'll bring in another 15,000. And then later on in the year, we'll bring in another 15,000 plantlets. This will be given to serious banana farmers, and we will support them across the board, because we will want to continue to supply our ripeners, but we won't be able to consume all of the bananas we are producing on the island if we bring in an additional 60,000 banana plants. So therefore, we must go back to the European market. But definitely, it will not be for all. And I dare say, I do not see not one member of the opposition who will be able to establish a plot, because you guys are not farmers. So we will move forward. Mr. Speaker, yes, customers for sure. The cocoa industry, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be pumping in some $487,000 into the cocoa industry. And I want to really thank the Minister for Commerce, for all of the monies that we've been giving in small business to assist our cocoa producers in buying their equipment, the grinders and all of that and so on, in providing themselves with labeling and packaging, because these farmers in the cocoa business, they have their own market niche. They are moving cocoa to St. Martin and Guadeloupe and Tortola and St. Kitts and Nevis, and I believe this is not even captured in the GDP, because they are small farmers producing in their kitchen and in their basements and so on, just for special targeted market. But they are sending out cocoa rapidly out there and so on. And through the small business initiative, they've been able to get support of $5,000 and $8,000 and $6,000 and $3,000 to buy the equipment and so on. So we have to continue to support the cocoa sub-sector. And additionally, we expect to see at least 60 acres of abandoned cocoa farms rehabilitated in this fiscal year. So we'll continue to support the cocoa farmers to ensure that they continue to make a living. But most importantly, we have to increase our acreage, and we have to increase the farms that we are rehabilitating, and we have to support all of the small cottages, cocoa cottages, who are making their living out of cocoa. Even locally, Madam Speaker, everybody wants to drink their cocoa. And therefore, we have to support the industry, and we are happy that we are supporting the industry, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, support to horticulture. The support to horticulture is very important, because for a large margin, by a large margin, some of the increase we are seeing in the agricultural sector is because of the structured program we have under the support to horticulture. Because we've been helping farmers across the board in Tania, dashing, yams, you just name it, cucumbers, hot peppers, and this year, with the coming on stream of the dashing initiative, where we are already sending out at least 2 containers of dashing weekly, we intend, and we have already started to engage the farmers, Mr. Speaker, to produce at least 3 acres of dashing per farmer. We intend to export 220-feet containers regularly to both the UK and the US market fortnightly, Mr. Speaker. Presently, as we speak, Madam Speaker, the delivery within the intention is to ensure that this dashing, when harvested, reaches the pack houses within 4 hours of harvesting. And that is why the farmers will be part of a structured program. The dashing will be treated, ready for export, and we will move on that through the pack house, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, the farmers will be supported with fertilizers and technical support, and the farmers will also be encouraged to go to the aid bank through the facility that we have established to get their soft loans, and they will be supported by both Dexia and the Ministry of Agriculture so that they can contract their loans, because this is what this $10 million is all about. So the Bells farmers who are rapidly expanding their farms, just in preparation for this new initiative, I say to them, continue working hard, continue pursuing. Your government is behind you, your power rep is behind you, the support will continue through the ministry, and we will support this joint initiative between Dominica and St. Vincent to take advantage of the market, both in the UK market and the US market for the dashing initiative. But we'll continue, Mr. Speaker, to engage some of our major other areas. Another area we're looking at, Mr. Speaker, is in the area of cassava development. Just a couple of months ago, we had this big consultation at the Fortune Hotel looking at the expansion of cassava. So the Ministry of Agriculture has engaged FAO in a 4-year cassava project for development of the value added to cassava in this country. And we are targeting areas like the Carib Territory, Deepa Gudop, Kalinago Territory, Deepa Gudop, Delis, La Plaine, and other southeast areas to move into cassava as a serious business. We intend to ensure that we add cassava to the bread business here in Dominica. Cassava is already been added to the flour, white flour, in Trinidad and Barbados for bread. So the project intends to engage some of our major bakeries in Dominica to include at least 40% of cassava mash in our local bread. And Madam Speaker, it's worth noting, Mr. Speaker, cassava is a high dietary fiber product, Mr. Speaker, gluten-free and wholesome food for our people. So we want to cut down in the consumption of all of this white flour that our people are eating every day. Too much of white flour bread. And we intend to put at least 40% of cassava into the bread business, so that when you eat that bread, you're eating more cassava than flour. And this is where we're going. And my understanding that is very good for human beings, Mr. Speaker. This will achieve through the provision of the farmers being placed in a core structured program. As you know, cassava takes over a year before it is ready. So therefore, you have to ensure that you have cassava every month if it's going to take over a year. But the Caribs has mastered the art of the cassava business. The Kalinago people, they've mastered the art, and we will definitely learn from them, Mr. Speaker, as we move forward. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are not daunted by our efforts in agriculture. I heard the member for Rosa South, again, had so much to say about agriculture. But I need to say to him at this meeting of the Parliament today that last year, agriculture contributed $180 million to the GDP of this country. $180 million. Mr. Speaker, why do you think all of our credit unions are so liquid? Every credit union made a profit last year, you know that? Yeah. Every single credit union made a profit. All of the banks are making a profit. And the credit union, most of their clienteles are the farmers and the small people in the rural areas. And they're doing well. That's because the economy is doing well. And that's why we can record a 2.8% increase in our economy, Mr. Speaker. Our credit unions are doing well. They're employing more people. I saw my credit union just employ 2 more young persons from Casabos. I was so happy, increasing their staff because business is increasing. So when people say about the economy is bad and the economy is falling apart, your banks are one of your main indicators as to how strong your economy is. And our banks, they are very liquid. They have money. They want people to come and lend the money out of the banks and so on. So they are all competing among themselves to see how attractive their rate can be because they have money in the banks. That's because of the hard work of a good government, Mr. Speaker. That's why this is happening in this country. And so we have to continue to support our country. Mr. Speaker, I heard the member for Roseau South said that, and I just want to fit that in there, you know. He was trying to compare the opposition with the government. We cannot compare the hard work of this government to the lazy work of the opposition. They cannot be compared. And he said that the opposition members, they are following on the government's initiative by giving out. He said he even have his own red clinic. He have his own version of the red clinic. And every member of the opposition are busy giving out all of the salaries that we are giving, that they are picking up at the end of the month. Mr. Speaker, I cannot put my hand in fire for the leader of the opposition. He's from Marigot. I do not know his personalities, so therefore I can put my hand in fire for him. As to whether he's giving out all of his salary or when he gets things he doesn't take for himself, when things come he's giving out all and so on and so on. I can't get involved in that. But I can put my hand in fire for the senator from Casabos. And I can tell you at this moment that the senator Isaac Baptist is not giving one person from the Casabos constituency $5 out of his salary. And I can attest to that. And you could go to the constituency and ask them about it. And none of the opposition leader gives out nothing of theirs to anybody. It's only the Labour Party who has this open hands. And we are giving to people, and that's why we are getting. We are the ones who are sharing with people. You people do not know about this thing. I don't see Mr. John giving out his money when you're at the end of the month at all. And so, Madam Speaker, when they come to this house and try to associate themselves with us, only in the house of China, nowhere else, and that they are as good as the members of the government side and we are doing the same thing. No! We are not doing the same things. We are operating on opposite side of the fence. We are the ones with empathy, open hearts, helping people, not the opposition. No, not at all. And we must be very, very clear when we are discussing matters of national importance and national interest. There is a separation, total separation, between the UWP and the Labour Party. We are the party of people. We are the party of the small people. We are the party of supporting people, and they remain the party of destruction. And I suspect they will be the party of destruction for a very, very, very long time. And we have to keep them where they are, Madam Speaker. And so, Mr. Speaker, I need to move quickly to my constituency, the Casabos constituency, Mr. Speaker. And again, I have said to the senator from Casabos, Senator Baptist, that he must spend some more time up in the constituency because he doesn't seem to know what's going on at all. Every time the member, senator, comes into the house, he speaks of something that is ongoing, like something that needs to be done. And this time, he mentioned the repairs to the Saint-Sauveur Primary School. And he's saying to me, Mr. Drago, you need to go and do the repairs of the Saint-Sauveur Primary School. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, the Saint-Sauveur Primary School repair is a BNTF project. And we know the intricacies of securing BNTF projects. And Madam Speaker, as we speak, I missed the closing of school, so I could not have made a statement to the school. But I have already called a meeting with the Saint-Sauveur school parents, one in Pinisufia and one in Gurup, separate meetings. And we discussed at length the possibility of what is going to happen come September, that the Saint-Sauveur school is going to be repaired at a tune of over $450,000 on the BNTF. And the possibility exists that the children will be taken to Gurup at the Gurup Resource Center, for school. I sat with the permanent secretary this week already as we speak. I sat with the minister, and we're looking at the logistics. What has to be done to upgrade the resource center to ensure that the children are comfortable. We are looking at whether the children will be going to school for the entire day or whether they'll be going home at 2. Every child in the Sons of Good Hope catchment knows that, and the senator who wants to represent the people doesn't know that. So therefore, I just cannot understand it. So, well, I understand that it's going out. Having said that, so we are going, let me say to the Sons of people, that we are quite aware of the repairs needed to be done on that school. And we are ready for BNTF, with the support of Lady Daniel, that they are waiting for the no objection from the CDB. And very soon, both projects, that is the retaining wall at Good Hope and the repairs to the Sons of Primary School will commence, and we will do all of the necessary work needed to ensure that the Sons of Primary School is back to what it used to look like when it was first constructed, Mr. Speaker. So the Senator, I'm sorry that he's not there to get that information, but he's listening on the radio, and he will get it. And as I said, Madam Speaker, I have met with all of my community catchment areas to discuss with them the readiness for school in September. Because normally at the graduation, I instruct them. So I call everybody to a meeting in Good Hope, a meeting in Deepa, a meeting in Casabros, a meeting in Pinisufwe, and I listen to them, and I share with them, and we have everything well structured. As a matter of fact, there will be a meeting of each of the hamlets again before school open in September to discuss the question of the bus service and all of that, where we are at and our readiness, the teachers, the chalkboard, everything that has to be done in all of the schools. Because I take education very seriously up there, Madam Speaker. There are too many opportunities in education today for me to have one lapse. I want my people to take advantage of all of the opportunities in education, and the government is catering for that, and therefore I don't want nobody to miss out. I even have a secret. I have already secured all of the shoes for all of my needy children for September, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. This is already secured. So that I have the list, parent's name, child's age, the size of the shoe, boy, girl, so that when I take it to the spot where I'm getting the shoes, we can have no mix-up. So it's a 3-year-old, 10 for boy or girl. So the people know exactly what they're doing. This is how structured that I have this thing. My seamstress is at work. For the NEP, I employed 2 young ladies, Mr. member for Portsmouth. I employed 2 young ladies to work with one of my seamstresses up there under the NEP. And through small business, I gave the seamstress 2 additional sewing machines to speed up her work so that she can make all of the uniforms I need for the Good Hope and Deepa catchment, special catchment, Good Hope and Deepa. That's all she has to work on. Nobody else has to go on this December. Because I want to ensure that every child in Deepa and Good Hope who needs a uniform in September will have it in time. And there are separate persons in Casabros doing the sewing for me, Madam Speaker. And I will only order for Pinisufwe this year for the first time because the 2 seamstresses I have up there, one have a bad leg and one is... Anyway, having said that, so I'm going to order for Pinisufwe. But this is well structured, it's a program because you have to be part of it and so on. You cannot operate in isolation. So all of this is being done to ensure that when September comes, our children are ready, Madam Speaker, for school. Madam Speaker, we continue with roads in the constituency, Madam Speaker. We are presently spending over $1 million in village roads and rehabilitation work in the constituency. We've been told, and we have satisfied ourselves, that the DVRP will do some of the major interventions from Tarish Pit, the retaining walls coming down and so on. But we understand the challenges with the DVRP, the slow process. But we did not wait. The Prime Minister made over $400,000 available for the Casabos constituency for special intervention, retaining walls in Pinisufwe. We have a major retaining wall going on there, well over $200,000. Retaining wall and bridge crossing in Good Hope. We are doing all of this work for the safety of our people because we understand that we are living in a vulnerable area and we're not waiting on DVRP. When DVRP money is ready, we'll welcome it. But if they're not careful, we might end up doing all of our intervention before they start one project because I'm not going to wait on them. I will go to the Prime Minister and say to him that that project has to continue because we can't wait on the VRP anymore. And this is how we are operating out there. Madam Speaker, in Good Hope.
You have 5 minutes left.
Okay, 10 more will do.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Honourable Minister for Agriculture be given an additional 5 minutes to complete his presentation on the budget.
Second, Madam Speaker.
Yes, second.
Second, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that the Minister for Agriculture be given a further 5 minutes to complete his contribution. That's 5 minutes, he said. Okay.
No, that's all right, that's all right.
Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The
Madam
ayes
Speaker.
have it. Continue. Patient,
Thank you very much, Madam.
patient.
In Good Hope, Madam Speaker, we are transforming the road network in Good Hope. We just built a major link road. As a matter of fact, it only completed last week. A major link road in Good Hope to the tune of $500,000, Madam Speaker, for the people of Good Hope in what we call the Cochrane area. We call it Cochrane area phase 4. As a matter of fact, the Good Hope people have said to me, Mr. Drago, we have to have an official opening of that road. So I'll be inviting GIS sometime next week to come up to Good Hope with me so we can formally open that road, because this road never existed before. It was a mud place where when the people were going to church, they had to either walk with their shoes in their hand and walk in the mud, or put their boots, and when they reach at the end of the road, put their shoe, because there was always mud. And I negotiated with the landowners. We didn't pay a cent for land. All we paid them was for their crops. And we did it in phases, where we did the crossings first, all of the culvert crossings, and then we got funds, and we now have a brand new road, a highway in Good Hope, and you can go right through Good Hope, a thoroughfare. And the Prime Minister knows Good Hope roads very well. So now you can go right around Good Hope without hindrance. In case of a disaster, we now know that our people can no longer be blocked in any way. In Pitisufwe, Madam Speaker, we are building 2 new roads. We are building a road to an area called Savan. So we will soon have motor vehicles heading to Savan. And when this road in Savan is complete, Madam Speaker, I'm going to invite you to Savan, because I'll be driving you to Savan. Because if I take you to there now, you won't be able to walk back up. So when the road is complete, I'll take you with me. Let's go and see a new area in Pitisufwe where we are constructing a new road. There's another new road in Pitisufwe again, Madam Speaker, an area called Livelui, Upper Livelui. We are constructing a new road to go inside to meet a group of families who never had motorable road before. This is happening in Good Hope as we speak. In Casabros, Madam Speaker, we are doing several village roads in Casabros. And then the long-awaited Senhouse Bridge for the Casabros community. Senhouse Bridge is a flat bridge. Whenever it rains, the river floods the area and nobody can pass. The road becomes impassable. And they've been asking me for that bridge in Casabros for years now. But I always say to them that there's too much to be done in Good Hope, Saint-Sauveur, and Pitisufwe as priority. I won't be able to build that bridge for you yet. But today, I can say to the people of Casabros, immediately after the budget, we will be building the Senhouse Bridge will commence, and you will have a very nice, brand new bridge going up in the Senhouse area. And Madam Speaker, there are several other road projects that will come on stream following the budget in the entire constituency, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are now spending $1 million on washroom facilities in the constituency. And we will increase that because we had an estimate of $2.8 million for washroom. We've so far invested $1 million. After the budget, we'll invest more money in the washroom program for the people of the Casabros constituency, eliminating pit latrine. It's a continued process. And for the persons who have not gotten their washroom and saying to me, somewhere, so long I wish I haven't gotten mine. We will be building your washroom facility for you after the budget, because this is the commitment of the government that we will eliminate pit latrine totally out of the country. We will eradicate it. So therefore, don't be afraid. Your facility is coming, Madam Speaker. For the persons who've been waiting for the continued housing renovation, these projects will continue immediately after the budget, so that we continue to bring ease to our constituents and they can enjoy themselves with their government, Madam Speaker. We are happy that in this budget, Madam Speaker, we have over $1 million for the Pitisufwe Rosalie Link Road. an important project for the people of Piti-Sufue, Madam Speaker. And we will burst Washmark. Washmark thinks he's in charge of us. Well, we'll demonstrate to him that we're in charge of him. So we will be attacking Washmark in earnest after the passing of the budget. And the people of Piti-Sufue, I know they're excited to hear that we're going to burst Washmark and rapidly complete that Piti-Sufue Rosalie Link Road for the people of Piti-Sufue, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my time is short, but I could go on and on and on. The facility through the Ministry of Commerce for establishing enterprises at the various communities. There are 2 enterprises in the Casabus Youth Center as we speak, a fishing enterprise and an auto body repair enterprise, where young people are engaged in fishing. Madam Speaker, in the past, we used to have to go out to buy fish. That's a thing of the past. Casabus full fish now, 7 new boats going out at sea, where with the support of the government and support of the church, we trained our fishermen in safety at sea. We trained them in auto engine repairs. We trained them in everything they needed to go out fishing. And these guys, I can tell you, they are bringing in dolphin into that community. So we are supporting our people, and we will expand it. We're going to train an additional 26 young men in fishing, because we have realized that this is an area where the young people are attracted to it, especially some of our young boys. They want to go out and fish, so we're going to send them and fish. And with all of the FADs that we have established across the island, over 100 FADs across the island, and with the mega FADs, the bigger FADs being on the east, the chances of catching fish has increased. So therefore, whenever you go out, you will come back with your supper, or you'll come back with enough to sell to make money. And therefore, we are pushing our farmers in that respect, Madam Speaker. And we, through the small business, Madam Speaker, we have assisted our farmers in welding, plumbing. Madam Speaker, through the washroom program, we are now establishing a plumbing module where we have engaged one young man in building washrooms, and his job is to train 5 young men in plumbing, and they all will be getting a stipend from the NEP to do that training with the young man who is building the washroom facilities in Good Hope. All of this is to add value to these young men, their skills, so that they can be more independent as they grow up, Madam Speaker. We are hoping, and not hoping, immediately after the budget, we will purchase an ice machine for the fishermen of Saint-Sauveur, Madam Speaker, up to the tune of almost $40,000, because we want our fishermen to go out at sea with ice at all time, because fishing is a major industry in that area. That's what they do for a living. So we're going to be supporting them, Madam Speaker. We continue to support our bakeries. One young man decided that he's going into Turkey. So we're taking a test with him. He has ordered 100 turkey, and through the small business, I made available all of the funds he needs for feeding and maintaining of this turkey. So he's fencing an area to put his turkey. It's going to be a trial. And if we succeed, we might all be competing with the abattoir between chicken and turkey, because it's going to be a small business for this young man. We will encourage people to purchase turkey from him, and we'll make sure that he expands. But I'm looking forward to that enterprise of turkey, and I'm going to ensure that the vet work with him so that he succeeds. But this is what he wants to do. So we have to give him the support, and that's why hopefully very soon we'll have a project of 100 turkey in the community, and we'll support him, Madam Speaker, because it's all about supporting our people for their very own advancement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I must make mention of the I Can See Clearly program quickly, just to state that in the Casabus catchment under the I Can See Clearly program, some 493 students were assessed, Madam Speaker. 493 students were assessed. Of these 493 students, in some 27 students needed prescription for glasses, Madam Speaker, all at the cost of the government. So, Madam Speaker, you see how many students in the Casabus primary school catchment who were suffering with eye problem, and it was not detected. And through this program, they have now been detected, thanks to Dr. Daru, government, and his team. At the secondary school, some 53 students needed prescription, Madam Speaker, coming out of the program. So this is a remarkable success story for the program in the Casabus catchment, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I came into this job to serve people. And I'm happy that through the Ministry of Agriculture, we are seeing success. We are seeing light in the tunnel. No amount of Mapui and radio talk show will derail our efforts. With a success of 9.9%, this is a moral booster to move forward. So we'll continue to ensure that agriculture continue to play a very important role in the GDP of this country. I want to thank the people of Casabros, Gurop, Tranto, Mopo Dipa, Sansove, Brong, Pidisufuye for your continued support. I want to thank you for your advice. I want to thank you for from time to time even pulling my ears and saying to me, Mr. Drago, you need to catch up here and you need to catch up there. That's why I'm your parrot. My commitment to you is unwavering. I will continue to support you. I ask you to continue to support me. Let us move Casabros constituency forward. Let us move Dominica forward. Let us move the agricultural sector forward. But most importantly, let us continue to unite as a team. Forget about those who are not interested in advancement and development. But with a 2.8% increase in GDP and a projected 3.5 or whatever percent for next year, Dominica is on the way to meeting, to realizing a modern and prosperous Dominica. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House be suspended until 6:55 this evening.
Seconded, Madam Speaker.
It has been moved and seconded that this honorable House be suspended until 6:55. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This honorable House stands suspended until 6:55 p.m.
Madam Speaker!